In the skies above a vast desert, far from the borders of the prosperous nation, a spirit ark, cloaked in shimmering white light, soared swiftly towards its destination. The sun blazed high, clouds drifting lazily by, a serene sight that none aboard appreciated, for the air was thick with tension. At the rear of the ark, Han Li sat in quiet meditation, his form glowing faintly with golden radiance, the air around him humming with restrained power. Beside him, Liu Lair cultivated with her aura ablaze in green, while at the front, Gu Yunyue controlled the ark, her smile serene, with Yu Menghan gazing back occasionally, her eyes clouded with concern. 2 days had passed since their last battle, and they were edging closer to safety with the Cold Flame sect within their sights. Yet, despite the calm, Han Li's brow furrowed, his eyes snapping open as the golden glow around him dissipated. He had made little progress in his attempts to remove the seal upon his nascent soul, and though he had found potent pills in the long-faced young man's bag, they had proved useless. It seemed his situation was far more complex than anticipated. With a shake of his head, he turned his gaze to Liu Lair. Her aura now stronger. Nearing the peak of Foundation establishment, her progress was thanks to a vial of pills Han Li had procured from their previous encounter. Satisfied with her cultivation, he made his way to the ark's edge, where Gu Yunyue approached with a cheerful demeanor. "We're half a month from the sect," she said. "Once there, you will receive a top-tier cave abode to recover." "I shall rely on your care, fellow Taoist," Han Li responded, his tone calm but laced with an undercurrent of unease. As if on cue, a distant rumble vibrated through the air, drawing their attention. Up ahead, a massive expanse of darkness loomed, and colossal tornadoes twisted and turned in a wild display of nature's fury. The sky was choked by a suffocating cloud of yellow sand, the storm a terrifying sight to behold. Gu Yunyue's smile faltered, and with a wave of her hand, the ark came to a halt. Liu Lair, disturbed from her cultivation, joined Han Li at the rear, her eyes narrowed in curiosity. "It's just a sandstorm," Han Li mused. "What's the concern?" "The desert we're crossing is the Yellow Billow Desert. Sandstorms here are rare, but when they strike, they can last for a month, sweeping across the entire land," Gu Yunyue explained. "However, it's not the storm itself we fear. The flying sin ants that dwell beneath the sands will stir during such storms. A few are harmless, but in swarms, they are deadly. These creatures exhale a corrosive mist that can erode treasures unless they've been specially refined." Han Li's expression darkened. "What if we fly around it?" "It would delay us by over a month," Gu Yunyue answered, concern flickering in her eyes. Han Li was about to speak when Mo Guang's voice echoed in his mind. "Leave them to me, fellow Taoist Han. These ants are no threat," came the devil's assured voice. "They fear sound-based devilish arts. Though my powers are diminished, I can still deal with them." With this assurance, Han Li nodded. "We'll go through the storm. If those ants appear, Mo Guang will handle them." Gu Yunyue hesitated for a moment before smiling. "If you're certain, let's proceed." Without further delay, the ark surged forward, plunging into the heart of the storm. The landscape around them darkened, consumed by the furious winds and swirling sands. The ark rocked, but its protective barrier held firm, glowing with an intensified brilliance. The storm was fierce, but the ark's advance was unhindered, and soon they found themselves moving steadily through the chaos. Hours passed without incident, and just as Han Li began to relax, a flicker of blue light flashed in his eyes. He turned his gaze to the horizon, where one of the tornadoes was barreling towards them, its force so powerful that the ark was nearly swept up by the violent winds. Gu Yunyue reacted instantly, her hand sealing the ark into motion, allowing it to speed past the storm's grasp. But as they barely avoided the tornado, the ground below them trembled. Yellow light shot upwards, forming a massive, intricate array that spanned over 1,000 feet. In an instant, the world around them shifted, and they found themselves surrounded by glittering yellow mountains, the air thick with spiritual pressure. Cracks appeared in the ark's barrier, threatening to tear it apart. Liu Lair and Yu Menghen gasped in alarm, but Han Li remained calm. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned a massive copper bell, its form swelling to enormous proportions. The bell descended, enveloping them in its protective aura, its light flickering before stabilizing. Han Li's expression remained impassive as he observed the array, his thoughts racing. Could it be the Heavenly Ghost Sect? Gu Yunyue murmured, struggling to maintain her composure. The Heavenly Ghost Sect truly is relentless, Han Li replied with a chuckle, the faintest hint of a smile crossing his lips as the pressure from the array continued to mount. The moment Han Li's words faded, the very air trembled, and with a mighty rumble, a great assembly of massive yellow boulders, each as large as millstones, manifested from the void. Their numbers were legion, 20 to 30 of them, circling the spirit arc in an unyielding formation. Gu Yunyue's heart quivered at the sight. But before she could react, the stones shimmered with radiant light, spinning in unison like a storm, barreling towards the arc. In a flash, she raised a hand and summoned a towering black sword over 100 feet long, its edges glimmering with an ominous aura. As it spun with a deafening roar, the blade became a writhing dragon, its tail trailing behind as it collided with the closest rock. The impact resounded like thunder, shattering the stone with a reverberating crack. But the force of the blow sent the sword spiraling backward, its glow dimming, and the sword's might swiftly fading. Gu Yunyue staggered, her body shaking, as she stared in disbelief at the immense force she had barely withstood. The power behind the falling boulders rivaled the strength of a nascent soul cultivator, and the sight of the approaching rocks sent a chill through her heart. Yet, as the earth trembled with the force of the oncoming assault, Han Li's voice cut through the air beside her, calm yet commanding. Protect them. Leave the rest to me. Before she could respond, Han Li shot into the sky, golden light pouring from his hands. With a series of thunderous booms, his fists lashed out, each strike a force of nature that struck every rock simultaneously, causing them to explode into a shower of debris. The air quivered as the rocks were scattered, reduced to fragments falling from the heavens. A mocking scoff echoed from the void, and a burly figure cloaked in black emerged, his imposing figure adorned with a short beard, a look of shock briefly crossing his face. "So, you are a body cultivator," he sneered. "Not only that, but a sword cultivator as well. It's quite the feat to see through my illusionary array with your mere nascent soul powers. Who are you?" Han Li's eyes narrowed as he smirked. "It matters not. A dead man need not know my name." Fury flashed across the burly man's face, his body surging with yellow ripples as he vanished into the air. Han Li's eyes flickered as he sensed the complexity of the illusion. But with a grunt, he unleashed golden light, ready to shatter the array with brute force. However, just as he prepared to strike, the sky darkened, and 5 massive spectral figures materialized, each one exuding a sinister black chi. These 5 giants, over 300 feet tall, looked like twisted apes, their bodies shrouded in short black fur, sharp fangs gleaming from their monstrous mouths. Their eyes blazed red, filled with a vacant hunger. Clutched in their massive hands were 5 miniature black mountains, each radiating an overwhelming spiritual pressure that made the air itself tremble. Gu Yunyue's face drained of color as the aura of these spectral titans washed over her. She could feel their power far exceeding her own, and the 2 young women on the ark collapsed, succumbing to the oppressive force. The 5 giant ghosts roared in unison, hurling their mountains with terrifying might, each one expanding to over 1,000 feet as they hurtled towards the spirit arc. Gu Yunue could do nothing but summon every treasure she had, surrounding herself and the unconscious women with barriers of radiant light. Meanwhile, Han Li's brows furrowed as he extended his hand towards the oncoming mountains, golden light exploding from his palms. With 5 mighty blasts, the mountains were shattered as the yellow space around them collapsed into a cascade of light, revealing the desert beneath. The oppressive pressure vanished, but the spirits remained. The burly man, now visible again, sneered, thinking himself safe. But Han Li was unperturbed. With a casual flick, the 5 mountains were swept into the air once more, and the burly man's smile faltered as he saw them hurtling toward him at incredible speed. Before the man could react, Han Li appeared like a wraith before the mountains, halting their progress with a single gesture. In a blur, he kicked 2 of them, sending them crashing down like twin meteors, roaring through the air with a deafening rush. The mountains, once again swelling in size, hurtled toward their targets. One slammed into the illusory array, shattering it in a flash of radiant light, sending the spirit arc flying, free from the trap. The second mountain plummeted towards the burly man, who panicked, his body enveloped in a crimson light as he sped away, narrowly avoiding the impact. Yet, no sooner had he escaped when Han Li reappeared before him, his hand striking down like a thunderclap, sending the mountain directly into the ground beneath the fleeing figure. The ground quaked as the mountain's impact sent sand flying, but the burly man's evasion only bought him a moment's respite. In that instant, Han Li kicked the final mountain, sending it hurtling directly towards him, too fast and too close for him to escape. The burly man let out a desperate roar, his hands sweeping through the air, releasing two radiant bursts of light, one black, one yellow, charged with powerful spiritual fluctuations. These were his final treasures, a black cane and a large yellow seal adorned with runes, both of which flew towards the immense black mountain descending from the heavens. With a thunderous cry, the man summoned the two treasures to slow the mountain's fall. For a fleeting moment, the treasures resisted, but their might was short-lived. The mountain shattered them with ease and crashed into the earth, sending sand flying in all directions. The burly man barely managed to escape the collision, his body grievously injured, blood soaking his form. With his strength dwindling, he grasped a white talisman from his belt, its surface inscribed with runes that pulsed with spatial energy. He began chanting fervently, hoping to activate its power. Yet, as he chanted, another shadow loomed overhead, an even greater mountain descending faster than the rest. Panic seized the burly man, his gaze frantic. With no time left, he formed a complex hand seal, and black light erupted from his body, forming a dark array. 5 colossal ghosts materialized around him, their eyes glowing crimson as they roared, unleashing black claws upon the descending mountain. Their strikes were powerful but ineffective, and the mountain crashed into them with overwhelming force. The ghosts' bodies cracked and splintered under the mountain's immense weight, but they stood firm, their bodies slowly turning to dust as they pushed against the oncoming destruction. Blood and flesh scattered in all directions as the mountain continued its descent. At last, the 5 ghosts fell, their upper bodies obliterated, but they remained entrenched in the earth, pillars of defiance holding back the mountain's wrath. With a faint sigh of relief, the burly man poured the last of his energy into the talisman, and it began to glow. Just as he thought he had a chance, another ear-splitting crash erupted as the final mountain struck. The remaining ghosts disintegrated in an instant. The man's form crumpled beneath the twin mountains, reduced to a mangled corpse, unable to even scream. From the sand below, a flash of golden light shot up, and a miniature version of the burly man, his nascent soul, burst free. It fled with terrifying speed, clutching a silver storage bracelet. Han Li's eyes locked onto the fleeing soul. With a swift motion, he hurled a streak of black light towards it. Before the nascent soul could escape, a boom rang out, and it exploded into a blinding golden light. A simple piece of iron essence fell from the sky, and Han Li casually plucked the silver bracelet from the air. He shrank the 5 mountains with a wave of his hand, returning them to their miniature forms before retreating to the spirit ark. Gu Yunyue watched in stunned silence, her mind struggling to comprehend what had just unfolded. In that moment, she realized how outclassed she was in the presence of Han Li's terrifying strength. After a long pause, Gu Yunyue broke her silence. "Fellow Taoist Han, are you truly only a nascent soul cultivator?" Her voice trembled with awe. Han Li, his expression inscrutable, merely replied, "Can't you see for yourself, fellow Taoist Gu?" Gu Yunyue nodded, her heart heavy with the realization that even among deity transformation cultivators, none could match Han Li's prowess. Han Li, ever humble, deflected her praise and turned his attention to Liu Laer and Yu Menghan, who were slowly stirring from unconsciousness. He brushed his sleeve through the air, and a burst of azure light enveloped them. The 2 women slowly regained their senses, disoriented but unharmed. Liu Laer sat up abruptly, her face filled with alarm. "Brother Rock, you." "All is well now. We can move forward," Han Li assured her calmly, his voice steady despite the chaos. Elsewhere, within the Cold Flame sect, a burly man spoke in the conference hall, discussing Han Li's incredible feat. His companion, an azure-robed man with a scholarly air, acknowledged the news with interest. A high-grade body cultivator, it seems, to slay a deity transformation elder with such ease. Fascinating. The burly man's eyes gleamed with a hint of excitement. The Heavenly Ghost Sect has lost one of its elders. This vagrant cultivator is certainly an interesting one. The azure-robed man smiled faintly. Once he arrives, I'll have you greet him personally. Ensure everything proceeds as planned. Understood. The burly man nodded, his eyes alight with anticipation. In a secluded cave deep within the mountains, a frail elder clad in an ochre robe sat serenely, his attention focused on the delicate tea in his hands. As the hot steam rose, he mused aloud, Lu Ya should have completed his task by now. Before him, a middle-aged man with narrow eyes stood respectfully, his head lowered in deference. There is no doubt Elder Lu will succeed. Only a person of your stature could have requested such a favor. The man replied in a voice as smooth as silk. The elder's expression darkened, and his voice trembled with fury. Of all my descendants, only Hao Heir had the potential to achieve greatness. To think he met such an untimely demise, that wretched fool deserves to be punished 1,000 times over for his transgressions. His words were followed by a violent slam of his teacup onto the stone table. The middle-aged man nodded quickly, seeking to calm the elder. But, Patriarch, once Yu Menghan is captured, your cultivation will reach new heights, and your path will be clear. Slightly appeased, the elder's expression softened. Indeed, she bears some responsibility for Hao Heir's death, but I shall let her live for now, for her constitution is of great use to me. His words trailed off as his gaze shifted toward the cave entrance, a sudden shift in his demeanor. Moments later, the soft sound of footsteps echoed, and a young female servant appeared, bowing low. Elder Qi, Elder Mo has come to see you. Before the elder could respond, a cold voice echoed from outside the cave. I am impressed, Elder Qi. Even at such a time, you remain calm enough to enjoy your tea. A middle-aged man in a black robe appeared at the entrance. Qishuan raised an eyebrow, his hand gesturing for the servant to leave as he inquired, What brings you here, Mo Chen? I do not recall an appointment. Mo Chen ignored the question, his voice cold as ice. The soul badge of Elder Luya cracked unexpectedly. What do you know of this, Elder Qi? Qishuan's face paled, his voice faltering. What did you say? Mo Chen's words rang with chilling clarity. Elder Lu was last seen going to intercept a group on your orders. It seems those orders led to his death. Who were you sending him to confront? In disbelief, Qishuan leapt to his feet. Impossible! How could a pair of nascent soul cultivators have slain Lu Ya? Mo Chen's tone grew colder still. Elder Lu Ya was an early deity transformation cultivator, yet his soul was destroyed. You expect me to believe that you were unaware of the danger you placed him in? Have you made an enemy of the sect, all for your personal vendettas? I must take you to the enforcement hall, Elder Qi. Several days passed, and Han Li's group emerged from the desolate Yellow Billow Desert, weary but unscathed. Along the way, they had encountered several swarms of flying sin ants, which were dispatched effortlessly by Han Li using Mo Guang, and no further attacks came from the Heavenly Ghost Sect. Yu Menghan and Lu Lair, exhausted from the journey, had fallen asleep in the Spirit Ark, nestled together. Han Li, seated at the rear, stared at several vials of pills before him, each drained of their contents. His brow furrowed in contemplation. How did it go, fellow Taoist Han? Mo Guang's voice rang out in Han Li's mind. Han Li sighed. These pills are of decent quality, but none have been of any use to me. Mo Guang considered this. What about the spirit stones? Han Li held up a spirit stone that had lost its glow. I can't absorb them either. It seems only special pills have an effect on you, Mo Guang mused. Indeed, Han Li agreed. The Sharp Watch pill and the Golden pill I found in Qi Minghao's storage were the only ones that had any effect. Once we reach the Cold Flame sect, I'll find another Sharp Watch pill to study in depth. Half a month later, the group soared above the Spirit Flame mountain range, the entrance to the Cold Flame sect. The vastness of the lush landscape, rich in spiritual energy, left them all in awe. Gu Yunyue, standing at the bow, smiled warmly. This is the Cold Flame sect's entrance. The spiritual veins are stable, and the abundance of spiritual qi is unparalleled. Han Li nodded, impressed. Indeed, this is a fine location. Yu Menghan, feeling a wave of excitement, turned to Gu Yunyue. But where is the sect? I see no signs of it. Liu Lair, equally puzzled, chimed in. Brother Rock, I sense the spiritual energy, but where are the buildings? Han Li smiled and explained. All major sects are concealed by powerful arrays. We are currently outside the array, akin to standing at the city's gates. Liu Lair and Yu Menghan nodded, though their understanding was still incomplete. Please wait a moment, fellow Taoist Han, Gu Yunhui said, retrieving a golden badge from her robes. It bore the design of a flickering flame. A burst of light shot forth from the badge, and a ripple spread beneath them. A faint, golden light barrier began to rise, enveloping the entire mountain range. As expected of a powerful sect, Han Li murmured, impressed by the display. Below them, the land transformed, revealing countless palaces and pagodas interwoven with the forest. Some structures perched atop sheer cliffs, others in deep canyons, and the central mountain stood proud, shrouded in mist and purple chi, their spiritual aura unmistakably rich. This place is breathtaking, Yu Menghan said, her voice full of awe. Liu Lair nodded in agreement, her eyes sparkling. Gu Yunhui's spirits were high. Fellow Taoist Han, Elder Luo awaits us on Cloudrise Peak. Let us go meet him. Han Li nodded, and as the spirit arc passed through the barrier, he felt a powerful spiritual sense wash over him. Clearly, Elder Luo was already aware of their arrival. The spirit arc descended upon a grand plaza at the foot of a towering mountain that reached up into the clouds. There, an imposing figure stood, watching them from afar. He was a man of rugged features, dressed in an ochre robe with a black belt that accentuated his powerful physique. His presence radiated the aura of a deity transformation cultivator. In the land of Cloudrise Peak, beneath the ever-stretching sky, Gu Yunhui, graceful as the wind, bowed low, her figure respectful as she addressed the burly figure of Luo Jun, the mountain's peak master. I pay my respects to Martial Uncle Luo, she spoke, her voice as serene as flowing water. Martial niece Gu, your efforts are appreciated. Luo Jun's deep voice boomed, his eyes glimmering with warmth as they fell upon Han Li. You must be fellow Taoist Han? Indeed, Han Li replied, his voice calm as the stillness before dawn. Master Nangong had wished to greet you personally, but pressing matters have delayed him. I hope you won't mind, fellow Taoist, Luo Jun continued, his words like a flowing river, smooth and steady. Han Li gave a small smile, his demeanor unshaken. No offense taken. Luo Jun's gaze flickered to Yu Menghan, the new disciple of Gu Yunhui, his eyes lit with approval. A disciple of such promise, Martial niece Gu, a fine choice, he remarked. Junior Yu Menghan pays her respects to Elder Luo. Yu Menghan quickly followed, her bow graceful, yet her heart fluttered with excitement. A bright future awaits her, I believe, Gu Yunhui said with a pleased smile. Her eyes filled with hope for her young disciple. As the greetings continued, the conversation turned to the deeds of Han Li, his power and resolve reverberating in Luo Jun's voice. Fellow Taoist Han, your valor and strength are well known. The sect is honored by your presence. We wish to offer you a place as a guest elder. There are cave abodes available for your choosing. Should you have any requests, speak them. I seek a place of quiet, secluded, where I may heal from my injuries, Han Li responded in measured tones, and perhaps a cave near Spirit Farmland, for I have knowledge of pill refinement. Luo Jun's brow furrowed, a trace of hesitation. Such abodes are peaceful, yes, but Spirit Farmland is scarce. Most are tended by disciples, and the lands are on the slopes, exposed to the sun. I fear the tranquility may not suit your needs. Han Li pondered, his brow knitting in thought, yet his calm demeanor never wavered. After a pause, Luo Jun spoke again, a glint of thought in his eyes. If none suit your needs, perhaps I could arrange for new construction upon a land of your choice. Han Li's lips curled slightly, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes. There's no need. If no land fits, I shall simply raise one myself. Is that allowed? The boldness of Han Li's words startled his companions. Yet Luo Jun, with a burst of laughter, raised a hand in approval. You would raise the land itself? Truly a daring choice, fellow Taoist Han. Of course, it is within your rights. With that, Luo Jun led Han Li and his group toward a secluded valley, where plots of spirit farmland lay dormant. Abandoned since the passing of a previous elder, Han Li gazed upon the land, and with a single movement, his power surged. The earth trembled as Han Li, his fist a hammer of fury, struck the ground with the force of a mountain. Crater after crater formed, shaking the very foundation of the valley. The servants fled in fear, their chi refinement cultivation insufficient to understand the scene unfolding before them. In the midst of this turmoil, Han Li's smile never faltered. He moved through the land, punching deep into the earth, each strike echoing like the beat of a mighty drum. The ground rumbled, a force unseen but felt by all. With his hands plunged into the soil, Han Li tore open the valley, his power binding the land together. A vast rift spread, and with it, the spirit farmland itself was lifted into the air, as if the heavens had bent to his will. Liu Lair, wide-eyed, felt a rush of admiration at Han Li's strength. Gu Yunyue stood in shock, words caught in her throat, while Yu Menghan gaped in awe at the sight. Luo Jun, speechless, could only watch as Han Li turned, his voice calm as a mountain breeze. Let us proceed to the cave abode, Elder Luo. The valley lay in ruin, the earth torn asunder, but Han Li's presence was unwavering. Luo Jun led them upwards, the mountain path now a testament to the power Han Li had commanded. After wandering for an hour, Han Li chose his resting place, atop the mountain's peak, where peace would finally reign. Thus, the land was raised, and the will of one man shaped the very earth beneath him. In the tranquil caves of Cloudrise Peak, Han Li's mighty strength shook the ground as he effortlessly created a vast crater, setting a spirit farmland within it. Luo Jun, witnessing this feat, could not help but laugh heartily. Your strength far surpasses my expectations. Fellow Taoist Han, I am truly humbled. Han Li, with a sly smile, responded, You flatter me, fellow Taoist Luo. Now that we've seen each other's abilities, let us discuss more pressing matters. Luo Jun's expression shifted slightly, and with a cough, he replied, There is little formality required, fellow Taoist. Becoming a guest elder of our sect is a mere formality. Every year, you will receive 50,000 spirit stones and additional pills to aid in your cultivation. This year's pill distribution is over, but here is this year's allocation of spirit stones, 80,000 in total, and a gift of 30,000 from Peak Master Nangong. Luo Jun handed over a golden badge and an azure storage bag, which Han Li accepted with a nod. Nearby, Gu Yunyue observed with a complex expression. Normally, such benefits were reserved for elders of the deity transformation stage, yet Han Li's power left no room for argument about his worthiness. Thank you, Elder Luo. By the way, are sharp watch pills allocated by the sect, or can they be acquired elsewhere? Han Li inquired. They are sometimes given out by the sect, mostly for healing injuries, but they rarely surface for trade. Most are quickly bought or traded within the market, Luo Jun explained. I see. It seems I'll have to test my luck then, Han Li mused, as Luo Jun and his companions departed after a few more exchanges. After sealing the cave's defenses, Han Li led Liu Lair to her resting quarters, then set off alone. In a short while, he arrived at Trade Valley, a bustling market nestled beneath Cloudrise Peak. Upon entering, he was greeted by the sight of crowded streets lined with shops, their flags waving like banners in a martial competition. The market was alive with the din of bartering and negotiation. Han Li began his search in several pill shops, but despite his efforts, the elusive sharp watch pill remained absent. In one shop, he was informed it had been sold 2 months ago. Frustrated but not defeated, Han Li ventured deeper into the valley. It was then that his keen senses detected a presence, a hidden observer watching him since his arrival. He turned with a cold glare, locking eyes with the man hidden behind a tree. You've been following me for some time. Do you seek something from me? A white-haired elder with a youthful face emerged, a sheepish expression on his features. My apologies, fellow Taoist. I overheard your search for a sharp watch pill and simply wished to offer assistance. Han Li's sharp gaze never wavered as he assessed the man, sensing the deep aura of a deity transformation cultivator. And who are you? I am Gao Bulin, an elder of Sunset Peak. I have a sharp watch pill to trade, but I need something in return, the elder replied, his tone casual yet measured. The Sunset Peak? The sect's alchemists reside there. You wouldn't happen to have a sharp watch pill, would you? Han Li asked, his voice tinged with curiosity. Indeed, I do, but I seek something of equal value. Perhaps you have one of the following: glacial yin water, blue crystal sand, heavenly river starstone, or a rare landling flower or ink fragrance herb over 3,000 years old? Han Li smirked. Surely you jest. Those items are rare treasures. If I had them, I would ask for much more than just a sharp watch pill. The elder's expression flickered, and Han Li pressed on. If not, perhaps we can settle this with spirit stones. After a brief pause, Gao Bulin relented. Very well. I'll part with the sharp watch pill for 2 top-grade spirit stones. 2 top-grade spirit stones? You're asking far too much. The price in the market shouldn't exceed 600,000 spirit stones, Han Li countered, his brows furrowing slightly. Gao Bulin was unperturbed, explaining, the sect's internal market prices are one thing, but outside, a sharp watch pill could fetch much more. Han Li remained silent for a moment, then spoke. I don't have any of the items you requested, but I do possess other rare treasures. Would you be interested? The elder's expression hardened slightly. If it's common items, then there's no need to mention them. I'll accept spirit stones for a simple trade. With a slight nod, Han Li produced several precious items from his storage, an azure underworld crystal, a myriad yin spirit trapping array scroll, and a yin soul zoysia. Perhaps these will interest you? Gao Bulin hesitated. I could use the yin soul zoysia, but it must be over 1,000 years old. If you add 300,000 spirit stones, the sharp watch pill is yours. Han Li, unimpressed, turned to leave. Wait! Gao Bulin's calm demeanor crumbled as he hastily called out. Han Li stopped, but did not return. Seeing the rejection in Han Li's eyes, Gao Bulin quickly reconsidered. Perhaps we can negotiate further? Let me see the yin soul zoysia first. Without a word, Han Li opened a small wooden box, revealing the rare herb. Gao Bulin's spiritual sense probed the item, and a flicker of surprise crossed his face before quickly fading. In the heart of the trading market, Han Li, with an air of calm authority, faced the pill master Gao Bulin. The ancient yin soul zoysia, ripe with centuries of cultivation, was a prize worthy of more than one sharp watch pill. 2, Han Li declared, his tone unwavering as a mountain breeze. Gao Bulin, caught in the ebb and flow of negotiation, hesitated, then relented. Deal, he said, after a moment's deliberation, handing over the coveted pills. The transaction, a silent promise of future alliances, was sealed with a satisfied nod. Leaving the market behind, Han Li walked through the valley with the grace of a tiger, making strategic exchanges, gathering high-grade pills that matched the rare quality of the sharp watch pill. Finally, his journey led him back to Cloudrise Peak, where Liu Lair awaited him in quiet contemplation. What weighs on your heart, Lair? Han Li asked as he approached, his voice a soothing melody against the stillness. Liu Lair's eyes sparkled upon his arrival. Brother Rock, she whispered, her heart filled with words unsaid. I've been lost in thought. Your presence in my life feels like a dream. Han Li, his expression unreadable for a moment, smiled, a flicker of tenderness lighting his eyes. If this be a dream, let it never end. His hand gently touched her brow, weaving a seal to implant within her mind the illusory spirit cicada transformation, a cultivation art befitting her demonic heritage. You must learn to protect yourself, Lear. If I am not there, you must endure. With determination, she accepted his gift, her eyes brimming with resolve. In a distant hall, Peak Master Nangong spoke with Luo Jun, eyes narrowed in deep contemplation. Han Li's strength is more than we anticipated. He will be invaluable to our sect, Nangong mused, his voice laced with strategic foresight. Luo Jun nodded in agreement, the weight of his words signaling the beginning of a new chapter for the sect. Meanwhile, Han Li, unaware of the discussions unfolding, entered his secluded chamber, the air thick with the scent of rare pills. He tested each one with a scrutinizing eye, yet found them lacking, each a step toward his elusive goal. The sharp disappointment in his heart melted away with the discovery of a gray pill, which pulsed with faint power, a small but welcome victory. His quest for power would not be so easily thwarted. With resolve as unyielding as the mountain winds, Han Li entered the pill refinement room. The flames of the furnace roared to life as he worked with deft hands, performing the pill reversal art. The air thickened with the scent of alchemy as he broke down the dark cloud pill, transforming it into its raw elements. In the midst of his labor, Han Li's eyes gleamed with satisfaction, the first fruits of his hard work now in hand. The pill reversal art, a secret technique of rare repute, had proven its worth, though Han Li knew this was but a small step on the long road of cultivation. Han Li set the jade boxes containing various powders aside, then waved his hand through the air, releasing an incantation seal to activate the pill furnace array once more. He withdrew another pill, the sharp watch pill, and after a moment's pause, cast it into the furnace, resuming his pill refinement art. An hour later, The sharp watch pill was divided into a dozen different ingredients, each stored neatly in jade boxes. Han Li then laid the ingredients of both pills side by side for inspection. A faint smile curved his lips as he observed the contents. Though the two pills contained mostly different ingredients, a strikingly identical blue crystalline powder appeared in both, clear in both color and form. This indicated it was the same ingredient, though the sharp watch pill contained a far greater quantity. The blue powder had an effect on him, and while it was not yet confirmed as the sole contributing ingredient, its importance was undeniable. Han Li dipped a finger into the powder, inhaled its scent, and tasted it. His brow furrowed slightly as he pondered. Despite his vast knowledge of pills across both the human and spirit realms, this powder was unfamiliar. Perhaps it was unique to the spirit domain realm? Rising to his feet, Han Li departed his cave and soared through the night sky, the azure light of his flight cutting through the darkness. Moments later, he arrived at a secluded cave on Sunset Peak, a distance several dozen kilometers away. Upon landing, he sent a voice transmission talisman into the cave and waited. The gates of the cave swung open, and Gao Bulin emerged, greeting him with a smile. Fellow Taoist Han, to what do I owe the pleasure? Han Li wasted no time. Elder Gao, I seek your expertise. Please take a look at this. He presented the jade box containing the mysterious blue powder. Gao Bulin accepted it, tasting a small portion before looking back at Han Li with an intrigued expression. Looks like I came to the right person, Han Li commented with a smile. You certainly did, Gao Bulin agreed, his smile growing wider. This is powderized cloud crane herb, an ingredient of rare and great value in our sect. It's used in several high-grade pills, and I only recognized it thanks to my experience in pill refinement. Han Li nodded. What can you tell me about its medicinal properties? Gao Bulin's smile turned sly. Han Li, understanding, tossed a high-grade spirit stone to him. The cloud crane herb, also known as the chameleon herb, changes colors as it ages. White at 100 years, blue at 1,000 years, red at 3,000, dark red at 10,000, and purplish red at 30,000 years or more. The key feature is its ability to absorb the sun's energy and produce quintessential purple qi, an essential element for cultivating powerful arts. This qi can also be converted into spiritual power, enhancing one's constitution. The older the herb, the purer the qi. Where can this herb be found? Han Li asked. Only in specific regions, and mostly controlled by the major sects, herbs over 1,000 years old are rare outside their hands, Gao Bulin replied. Han Li's mind raced. This quintessential purple qi seemed to be the answer to his magic power recovery. Are there any other pills that contain this herb? Aside from the sharp watch pill, the dark cloud pill also uses small amounts of the herb. Other pills, like the spirit nurturing pill and void origin pill, contain only trace amounts of younger cloud crane herb with negligible quantities of the qi. Han Li's quest was clear. After bidding farewell, he ventured to the Trade Valley, spending a top-grade spirit stone to purchase several of these pills and a batch of cloud crane herbs of varying ages. Returning to Cloudrise Peak, he entered his secret chamber and began testing the effects. He swallowed a dark cloud pill, feeling warmth rise from his dantian as it converted into magic power. Encouraged, he then consumed a cloud crane herb. Within moments, his dantian warmed again, magic power flowing into it. A satisfied smile appeared on Han Li's face as he confirmed that the purple qi was indeed the key to his recovery. After devouring most of the pills and herbs, his cultivation base surged to the late nascent soul stage. But just as he was about to finish the remaining pills, his expression stiffened. His dantian had reached its limit, and any excess power dissipated into nothingness. Sighing softly, Han Li understood that the state of his nascent soul was likely the cause. Further pill consumption would be wasteful until his body and spiritual sense recovered more fully. With this in mind, he reached for the guest elder badge from Luo Jun, infusing his spiritual sense into it. A golden map of the Cold Flame sect appeared, his gaze settling on the scripture library on Sage Gathering Peak. The next step was clear. Amidst the winding paths of Cloudrise Peak, a disciple clad in white ascended the mountain, his foot hovering just above the next step. A sudden flash clouded his vision, and his body stiffened, his spiritual sense dulled. In an instant, Han Li appeared beside him, his eyes gleaming with a strange blue light. "Speak of the scripture library." Hanli's voice cut through the silence, his gaze piercing into the disciple's mind. The disciple's eyes glazed over, a distant expression overtaking him. "The scripture library rests upon Sage Gathering Peak," the disciple murmured. "It is divided into an outer and inner section. The outer is open to all, while the inner is reserved for inner court disciples and elders." Hanli's expression remained unchanged, though his mind raced. The scripture library, a place of immense importance, was well guarded, its contents accessible only with exorbitant amounts of spirit stones and sect contribution points. These points, earned by completing dangerous missions, were the gateway to high-grade cultivation techniques, making the library a coveted prize. The library was known to be impenetrable, surrounded by spatial tempering stage elders, and restricted by powerful arrays. Many, even rogue cultivators, had attempted to steal from it, but all had failed, meeting tragic ends. Hanli pondered these details, then tapped the disciple's forehead with a finger. In the blink of an eye, he vanished, leaving the disciple unaware of what had just transpired. The disciple continued his climb, oblivious to the strange interruption. Moments later, Hanli stood at the foot of the Sage Gathering Peak, gazing at the octagonal pavilion in the distance. Its ornate roof bore intricate arrays, guarded by vigilant patrollers, yet Hanli's keen mind saw beyond the surface. He observed, then with a flash, vanished into the shadows of the night. In the depths of the Cold Flame sect, a massive bluestone hall lay shrouded in secrecy. Around it, patrols of disciples, led by deity transformation cultivators, surveyed the area. One such group, led by an azure-robed man, flew lazily through the valley. Suddenly, a thunderous boom erupted from the hall, followed by a flash of violet lightning. The air thickened with tension. "Who dares to trespass?" the azure-robed man roared, rushing toward the source of the disturbance. The hall stood ominously silent, the air suffused with a heavy stillness. The disciples surrounded the entrance, their movements swift and precise. Yet none dared enter, bound by the sect's strict rules. Moments later, an elderly man with flowing white hair arrived. "Move aside," he barked, and with a flash of light, the gate opened. Inside, they found only scorched marks on the floor, the shelves eerily empty. "Where are the heavenly shadow rock and the moon-gazing herb?" the old man gasped. "The flowing billow wood is gone as well." His voice shook with fury. A frenzied search ensued, but the thief had vanished without a trace. The sect's defenses had remained intact, and despite their efforts, the perpetrator seemed to have disappeared into thin air. As the sun rose, higher-ranking sect elders were summoned, but the search turned fruitless. A spatial tempering stage elder concluded that the thief had employed a lightning teleportation array, leaving no trace of their escape. The incident, though seemingly resolved, echoed through the sect like a storm. Unseen hands continued to search the mountain range in secret, and the Cold Flame sect tightened its defenses, unwilling to let the transgression go unpunished. In the span of 3 short days, the Cold Flame sect heightened its vigilance, doubling the number of patrolling cultivators guarding the scripture library. On a moonless night, within a thick forest miles away, a silver figure appeared, his face hidden in the shadows of the night. The figure gazed toward the scripture library, then swiftly took out a light purple talisman. Upon pressing it to his body, the talisman exploded in a silent burst, its runes swirling around him like ethereal tadpoles before vanishing into his being. In an instant, purple mist enveloped him, and he became insubstantial, floating effortlessly toward the library, unnoticed by the patrols. The patrolling cultivators, whose spiritual senses were spread wide, failed to detect the intruder. The figure reached the doors of the library without a trace, where the stone doors, protected by layers of intricate restrictions, shimmered faintly. The figure, unperturbed, performed a series of seals, releasing a barely visible azure chi that slithered into the stone, eroding the restriction. A hole formed, and he slipped through in a flash. The barriers closed instantly, leaving no trace of his presence. Inside the library, a grand hall lay before him, vast and circular. Dozens of paths led deeper into the heart of the library, but the figure focused on one path, quickly reaching a stone chamber marked Cultivation Arts. Again, his azure chi corroded the white restriction, and he entered. Shelves lined with jade slips shimmered under a red barrier. He moved swiftly, inspecting each grid, only to toss aside slips containing core formation and nascent soul stage cultivation arts. None were of interest. Undeterred, the figure moved deeper into the library, traversing through several chambers with the same result. Hours passed, but nothing caught his eye. Frustrated, he finally ascended the black staircase at the far end of the hall, sensing the final challenge ahead. At the top, two spatial tempering cultivators meditated in front of a massive stone door, its surface rippling with powerful restrictions. They were unaware of the intruder's approach. With a deep breath, the figure waited for the perfect moment. When the portly monk stirred and glanced around, his intuition pricked. But seeing nothing, he closed his eyes again, dismissing the sensation as a false alarm. The figure moved, releasing his spiritual sense to form a protective barrier around the stone door. His azure chi swirled, battling the restrictions. With a flick of his hand, he manipulated the chi to carve a path, creating an opening in the restriction. In a blink, he shot through the opening, vanishing beyond the stone door. The moment he passed, the barrier silently reset. The two cultivators stirred once more, sensing something faint, but their vigilance was ultimately disarmed by the strength of the glazed dark water array set by their sect's patriarch. The portly monk sighed, convinced that nothing unusual had transpired. Yet, in the heart of the Cold Flame sect's library, the figure moved undetected, ever closer to his goal.